Morning. Today on the Truth Hour, we're going to be discussing Jeff Sessions' testimony in front of the House Judiciary Committee and all of the subsequent details surrounding that. Also, timing is everything. The Dems, a certain handful of Dems have come out and pushed for articles of impeachment.
And how about GQ? GQ magazine making Colin Kaepernick the man of the year. And also the opening of the Museum of the Bible out in Washington, D.C. This and a lot more on the Truth Hour.
Something really wrong is going on.
What kind of a show are you guys putting on?
I want the truth.
All right.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another jam-packed session of the Truth Hour. I am Shane Jameson, joined with...
I'm David Eagle. Nice to have you guys with us today.
We are partners in crime here on the Truth Hour.
Wait. We're supposed to be talking about truth. We're not criminals, right?
Right. So
we have a lot of fun here, though.
we do. We got to keep it light. This is a jam-packed session, guys. We welcome each and every one of you. And about this time is where the master of plugging our show comes in.
That's right.
And that's Dave Deagle.
That's what I do. Truth Hour Radio, we're thankful that you are here. If you have any comments, please, if you're with us here live on YouTube, chat with us. We try to interact with everybody and try to interact with the chat. And also, if you're watching this podcast after the fact on YouTube, you can always email us at truthhourradio at gmail.com, truthhourradio at gmail.com. With any questions, complaints, concerns, anything that you would like to have discussed in a show. We're here every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. We are grateful to be able to do this show every week and to bring relevant facts and truth related to current political.
There we go.
We start all over again?
My computer does not like when I type good morning.
Okay.
It mutes everything.
What did I miss, Dave?
Just your last...
Okay.
That we're
So we are
blessed to be here.
Yeah, we're blessed to be here, guys, and we're grateful for our audience, and it's a true honor to be able to sit down every week, bring political insight and truth and facts surrounding our conservative values, also elements of our faith, and so thank you so much for that, and we'll dive into this jam-packed session. No pun intended with Sessions, Jeff Sessions, current Attorney General under the Trump administration, testified day before yesterday, in front of the House Judiciary Committee. It was an annual meeting, I believe, but he took a lot of fire from a lot of the Democrats and even a couple of Republicans related to, the Dems always push for the ongoing Mueller investigation of possible Trump-Russia collusion, which is...
So that's what he's testifying about, whether he knew anything about?
Yeah, also the Dems are trying to get him tripped up on, he's been specifically asked if he had any knowledge of any possible campaign/Russia connections and any meetings that went on, and there is one that happened, and he has been refreshed of that. But like he stated on this meeting, it's controlled chaos. A campaign is controlled chaos. He's acknowledged that some of this is knowledge that he didn't know about it, when he's in the heat of the moment, and then he's pounced on about, from Democrats, and I think back in October on some of the issues, and he didn't recall it, and so then he's had to kind of adjust his testimony since, and then the Dems jump on that as if he's misleading or lying. So it's all a push by them to try to get him disqualified and discredited, because here's what's going to happen.
They want to disqualify Sessions.
They want to actually show that he's, incompetent, or that he's compromised because of possible lying or, misleading Congress or whatever, or the Judiciary Committee. And then the reason they want to do that is because during this specific meeting, he actually left the door open to the possibility of appointing another special counsel. There's already one ongoing. There's Mueller into the Trump collusion Russia
Okay.
thing, which is absolutely fake in my opinion, and the facts show that. And then the leaving a possibility open to actually appointing a special counsel into investigating all of the Clinton scandals. That'd be Uranium One, the dossier, her
Those
email
other things we're
scandal,
gonna be talking about.
Benghazi.
Yeah. But if we can discredit him now, then if he brings up any of these other things,
Well,
then-
it dilutes it.
yeah.
Yeah. Hey, welcome, Lauren. We appreciate you. You're a consistent person on here on the Truth Hour every week, and we appreciate your insight. So as this goes, Dave, and then great timing here. I mean, we'll continue to bounce back and forth, play ping pong between the sessions and the testimony, and then how convenient is it that the Dems come out literally hours after this testimony, and they're starting to see the writing on the wall that he could appoint a special counsel that's then going to dive into all of this fact and this truth that's been lying there for years. I mean, and then so the Dems come out, and what do? A handful of them, I believe 6 total, I don't have their names in front of me, they push for articles of impeachment based on obstruction of justice and they cite a couple of other things.
Against Trump.
Yeah, but here's what's funny. Think about this. Obstruction of justice into what? Into the investigation on Trump and the Russian collusion? Okay, now take that thought and that statement, but let's go back in time. How can he be obstructing anything that was manufactured and contrived out of thin air from a fake dossier that was paid for by the Democratic National Committee, the DNC, the Clintons? Even the FBI is supposedly part of this, paying part of this to another gentleman that actually put this together. So this Christopher Steele was actually on the FBI payroll. They haven't confirmed it yet, but there is strong possibility that's the case. So how can you be convicted of obstructing something that was predicated on false accusations to begin with? Add that up.
It's just the thing about politics. You know, there's so much lying that goes on. And maybe not everybody. You know, there might be some good politicians out there who have some biblical grounding and are a person of truth. But how many times, you know, over the number of years that we've seen people who do these type of things to get in these offices, and it's all about you know, what I can do for you and what you can do for me.
Back scratching,
backstabbing,
Yeah.
lying, you know, all the above. They'll throw you under the bus as quickly as they'll help you out.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just a shame that that's the state of morality of our country. And it's not just the United States, but you see this in the political arena almost of every country, just where we leave God behind for our own political pride and power and money.
Right. Hey, real quick, anybody that is watching, currently listening live, please go ahead and chat us here and at least let us know you're here and on board. We do show a number, we do have a number that shows whoever's watching, but we don't actually see that in the screen availability that we have. So if you could drop us a quick shout there on chat and let us know you're in so we can acknowledge that you are here.
If you're driving, don't
Unless
do
you're
it.
driving,
Yes,
don't do that. Yeah,
if
there's
you're
a
listening
disclaimer.
to us while you're driving, yes.
There's a disclaimer.
Be smart about whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
We don't want you to get hurt.
Yeah. Oh, there's my daughter Cheyenne. Good morning.
Morning, Shy.
Yeah. All the way out in El Paso, Texas.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
That's where good salsa's from, isn't it?
Well, it
Was
gets
the whole-
better the closer to the border you get. I can guarantee you that.
The old commercials.
Yeah.
Salsa.
2 things get better the closer to Mexico you get, Dave. You know what those are? It's
I have
called
no idea.
barbecue and Mexican food.
Okay.
Absolutely. No question about it.
And we've gone so far away from the Bible right now.
Like you said, though, we got to keep it light.
We're having fun.
Yes,
We're having
absolutely. So what else we want to talk about here? We can come back to Sessions and the Dems later. There's a lot going on with Fusion GPS, Uranium One. But how about we bust this up a little bit and you take off in a direction you'd like, Dave.
All right, well, let's go ahead and, one of the really kind of neat things that have just opened up, one of our ladies from the congregation here in Washington, Pennsylvania, is an archivist for the Disciples of Christ, Christian Church, Churches of Christ, and she had to go over to Washington, D.C., to be there for the opening of this Museum of the Bible, which I believe was it last week or this week?
This Saturday.
This Saturday coming. And she had to give some presentations out there last week or the week before or so. And so this is one of those really kind of neat things. We have all kind of museums for anything.
Everything.
That has to do with history. But historically, we haven't had something with about the Bible.
That's a topic in itself. Why haven't we?
It is. And, it may be because a lot of the archives have been owned by different countries, and so nothing really kind of brought it together. But we have a little video to show that is talking about the Museum of the Bible and it opening up this weekend. But it's an awesome resource, I think, for us who are Christians of that these things, historical documents exist, for one, and then some of the things that you'll see in the video that are really...
Yeah, because this is a video. This is a Fox News Sunday, and Chris Wallace is narrating this, so this is a great listen. All right, here we go.
All right. I got to see if I remember how to do this. Hey, there we go.
Wow, I'll give you a $5 raise.
$5 raise.
Over a year.
Don't do that yet, because I got to get all the audio turned on. Hold on one second, guys. Next thing you should hear is this video playing.
In circulation in this country than ever before, an average of 2.2 per family. But how much does each of us know about the Bible, and how can we learn more? Here's our Power Player of the Week.
Children's museums, dinosaur museums, science museums, art museums. There wasn't a museum for the Bible, and that's the reason we built it.
Welcome to Washington's newest attraction, and it's like nothing you've ever seen. The Museum of the Bible. Inspiring, informative, and downright entertaining.
Oh, can you see the photos? Oh.
Kerry Summers is the museum's president.
It's where we are as a world right now. If it's not engaging, interesting, interactive, then many people just walk right by it, no matter how good it is.
So yes, there are 3,100 items on display, many of them remarkable. From fragments of the Dead Sea Scroll to the handwritten poem Julia Ward Howe wrote in 1861 that became the words to the Battle Hymn of the Republic. But there's also a recreation of the roads Jesus walked in Nazareth.
They have a perspective they've never had before until they see, wow, now I see why he taught the way he taught about olives, about the synagogue, about ritual baths, and it takes on a whole new meaning for them.
There's even a ride, what's called a flyboard, that lets you soar over Washington looking for biblical inscriptions. But what may be even more surprising is the attitude of the museum.
We're non-sectarian, which means we don't try to promote any faith or denomination. And our goal is to get people engaged in the Bible, to get them to at least open it up and take a look at it.
Still, there's some controversy about the museum. The Green family that owns Hobby Lobby and the National Christian Foundation are the two biggest donors.
They are what it says. They are a donor. They have not tried to direct the project. They have not tried to interject their personal points of view at all.
Some critics say this museum is really an evangelical outpost to Congress.
Yeah, that's a fun one because all you got to do is come in. And if you're here an hour, you realize it's not.
It's a sight to behold, from the huge bronze doors that recreate the Gutenberg Bible's printing plate of the first page of Genesis, to the soaring entry hall with its religious images, to unique artifacts and immersive technology. 1/4 of American families identify as evangelical. You think there's going to be a big draw, don't you?
There's going to be a big draw. We know that. It's going to be very large.
And once people come here, Summers is confident of their reaction.
The Bible is, love it or hate it, it's just one of the great reads of all time. Our goal is when you walk in that front door is that your jaw hits the ground and you say, wow. And when you leave, you say, this may be the greatest museum, or certainly one of them, that I've ever been in. That's where we're at.
The Museum of the Bible opens to the public this coming Saturday. You won't want to miss it.
We on?
Yep, we're back.
All right, guys. We don't know if that actually played slower than we anticipated. Y'all could shoot us a quick text
What?
there. I don't know what happened here.
That's one of those commercials playing.
Yeah. Okay.
All right,
We good?
we're good.
Sorry about that. So yeah, let us know if that played like at a normal speed. We were looking at it here on the feed, and it kind of looked pretty slow. So we just want to know the integrity of that video. So, anyways, great video by Chris Wallace
I
there.
think we need to make a road trip
Yeah,
to go see that. I think that'd be really neat to see that in person. Just
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, he says, you know, it was love it or hate it, it's one of the greatest reads, and you know, for the world, for anybody. The Bible isn't just a great read, but it's the resource for everything that we need in life.
yeah,
You know, it is tells us all about our own life. It tells us about the life that is to come and how to be ready for it.
yeah, absolutely.
It just and to see that those things that they recreated is just would be really cool to see those things.
I agree.
And then we got to go from D.C.
Yeah,
to the Museum of the Bible, and then we got to go all the way to Kentucky and and see the Ark and the Creation Museum.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it'd just be a
Yeah, that
Cool
would
time.
be so amazing. So yeah, I meant, you know, let's spend a couple of minutes on that, Dave. I mean, it's like we discussed it before we played it. Like, I guess it just goes to show just how maybe backwards society is, and how we hold in such high regards our physical artifacts and our physical things that have happened, you know, in our own, just our history. But here's what's funny: you say that, but you can't deny history, historical fact, when it comes to the truth of the Bible.
Yeah.
Why haven't we had one?
And it's, you know, and a lot of times people will look at the Bible and say that it's just man-made. You know, that these things really didn't happen. They're just stories that people had put together really to control mankind. But you see, there is historical fact that these things happened. And the more and more archaeological digs that are done, the more we investigate into the history, the more evidence comes out that these things happened, that these events in the Bible, these people, the Perizzites, the Hittites, the Canaanites, you know, were real people, and you know where they were, where the Bible tells us they were.
Yes. Provable.
Yeah, absolutely provable. And then that's just my slow connection here on the internet, us getting bounced back. And also, the next thing is, you know, that Jesus Christ, it was a real character, a real person in the Bible, and who really existed.
Mm-hmm.
And you see these places, and they come to life. And, you know, it's not just something that's been made up, but it's history. And you can see, you know, this flyover that they do of just D.C. and seeing these monuments and seeing the scripture that is all over. The influence that Christianity has and the influence that the Bible has had on American culture and the beginning of America is undeniable.
Exactly.
Yeah. People say, oh, well, the United States wasn't built on Christian ethics, Christian morality.
They couldn't be further from the truth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's so much truth out there that people miss, that we try to hide, and we try to take down all these symbols of Christianity.
Yeah.
But in the end, it is who we are.
Yes. It's ingrained in it's that thread, that Christian thread. The Bible's thread goes back through our founding documents.
Yeah.
And you could just go back to the founding documents and those individuals that drafted and signed those declarations. And
Yes.
you can clearly see in their and through historical fact of their own lives, and then also interwoven within our founding documents, the presence of God, the presence of Scripture. And it is undeniable in the real timeline to shows just how far away from God that we've came as a society.
and we keep going
is
further
where
and
that
further.
was and
Yeah.
where we are now. And look at the movement to try to eradicate and remove all articles of anything to do with faith and our embracing of God. And it's scary.
And what it does, what we don't realize what it does, it starts whittling away on our own American history.
Yes.
If we try to take all these symbols of Christianity away, because that's what we were founded on.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. Yeah, great piece there, guys. We always try to find a number of things every session, every week that we can go ahead and put in there that are conservative values, faith-based, reflecting of God and Scripture. And that was a very good piece. It just happened to drop in my lap this morning. I was kind of putting together this, our run, and happened to find that's like, that's going in.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
So let's jump back into a little bit of politics here. We do have a video up that I think you got queued. This is going to be Jim Jordan yesterday during the Judiciary, House Judiciary Committee meeting, and this is just one of many that had interviewed or spoken. They have 5-minute segments with Jeff Sessions, and it bounces back. He took a lot of heat from the Democrats, and it bounces back to the Republican side. And listen to this.
FBI pay Christopher. The FBI pay Christopher Steele, the author of the dossier?
Those are matters you'll have to direct to the, I think maybe the special counsel.
And why is that? I'm just asking if someone
Well, I'm
on the
not
payroll
able
of the
to
FBI.
reveal internal investigatory matters here that's under the investigation of anybody, but particularly I think
This happened in the summer of 2016. We know the Clinton campaign, the Democrat National Committee paid through a law firm, Fusion GPS, to produce the dossier. We know the author was Christopher Steele. It's been reported that he was on the payroll of the FBI. I'm just wanting to know if, in fact, that is the case.
I'm not able to provide an answer to you.
Did the FBI present the dossier to the FISA court?
I'm not able to answer that.
Do you know if the FBI did the established process protocol in evaluating claims made in the dossier?
I'm not able to answer that.
On January 6, then FBI Director James Comey briefed President-elect Trump up in New York about the dossier. Shortly thereafter, the fact that that meeting took place and the subject of the meeting was the dossier was leaked to CNN. Do you know who leaked that information?
I do not.
Are you investigating who leaked that information?
That would be a matter within the investigatory powers of the special counsel.
You said
or
you
the
got a number of
Department Justice.
investigations going on, Mr. Attorney General, regarding leaks. Is that likely one of those that you're investigating?
I'm not able to reveal the existence of investigations or not.
Mr. Attorney General, I appreciate your service in the Senate. I appreciate your service at the Justice Department. Consider you a friend. And frankly, I appreciate yesterday's letter saying you were considering appointing a special counsel that you sent to us. But my concern is we sent you a letter 3.5 months ago asking for a second special counsel. And if you're now just considering it, what's it going to take to get a special counsel? We know that former FBI Director James Comey misled the American people in the summer of 2016 when he called the Clinton investigation a matter. It's obviously an investigation. We know FBI Director Comey was drafting an exoneration letter before the investigation was complete. We know Loretta Lynch, 1 day before the Benghazi report came out, 5 days before Secretary Clinton was scheduled to be interviewed by the FBI, met with former President Bill Clinton on a tarmac in Phoenix. We know after that meeting, when she was corresponding with public relations people at the Justice Department, she was using the name Elizabeth Carlisle. You know, as I've said before, it seems to me if you're just talking golf and grandkids, you can probably use your real name. We know that Mr. Comey publicized the investigation, and we know he made the final decision on whether to prosecute or not. And then when he gets fired, he leaks a government document through a friend to the New York Times, and what was his goal? To create momentum for a special counsel, and of course it can't just be any special counsel, it's got to be Bob Mueller, his best friend, his predecessor, his mentor. The same Bob Mueller who was involved, we've now learned, in this whole investigation with the informant regarding Russian businesses wanting to do business in the uranium business here in the United States regarding the Uranium One deal. So I guess my main question is, what's it going to take, if all that, not to mention the dossier information, what's it going to take to actually get a special counsel?
It will take a factual basis that meets the standards of the appointment of a special
And
counsel.
is that analysis going on right now?
Well, it's in the manual of the Department of Justice about what's required. We've only had two. The first one was the Waco, Janet Reno, Senator Danforth, who took over that investigation as special counsel, and Mr. Mueller. Each of those are pretty special factual situations.
Let me ask it this
and
way.
we will use the proper standards, and that's what only thing I can tell you, Mr. Jordan.
Well, I appreciate
You can
that, but let
have
me
your
ask-
idea, but sometime we have to study what the facts are and to evaluate
So-
whether it meets the standard
Well said.
that
So let me ask you
requires
this. If in
a
fact-
special counsel.
Well, we know one fact. We know the Clinton campaign, the Democrat National Committee paid for, through the law firm, paid for the dossier. We know that happened. And it sure looks like the FBI was paying the author of that document. And it sure looks like a major political party was working with the federal government to then turn an opposition research document, the equivalent of some National Enquirer story, into an intelligence document, take that to the FISA court so that they could then get a warrant to spy on Americans associated with President Trump's campaign. That's what it looks like. And I'm asking you, doesn't that warrant, in addition to all the things we know about James Comey in 2016, doesn't that warrant naming a second special counsel, as 20 members of this committee wrote you 3.5 months ago asking you to do?
Well, Mr. Comey is no longer the director of the FBI.
Thank goodness.
We have an excellent man of integrity and ability in Chris Wray, and I think he's going to do an outstanding job, and I'm very happy
He's
about
not here today,
that.
Attorney
And
General
I would
Sessions.
say,
You are, and I'm asking for a
The
special
time of the
counsel.
gentleman
and I would
has
say,
expired.
looks like is not enough basis to appoint a special counsel.
Time of the gentleman has expired.
All right, guys. Yeah, we're back on after that great video there, snippet of Jim Jordan basically taking it to one of the good guys. I mean, he's a Republican, and Jeff Sessions is a Republican. Attorney General here.
Mr. Attorney General, did the
But,
FBI pay
for
Christopher
some reason,
Steele?
it does that every time. But anyway, so let's dive into that real quick, Dave. So, I mean, it's simple. And for the viewers here and our listeners, there's a lot going on there. And when I first watched this, I watched this live yesterday on Fox. There was part of that infuriated me about the way that Sessions handled that, but only after letting it go and letting it sink in. Attorney generals, they can't confirm or deny the existence of an investigation, and by answering certain questions, that's exactly what they could do. So when Jim Jordan, with his heart's in the right place, his facts and truth is in the right place, and good for him and kudos for him for pushing on this, but that he's asking for, he goes, 3 months ago they asked for a special counsel. Here's the truth: you really don't have to have a special counsel if the Department of Justice and the FBI will do their job. So the only way that Sessions would even push for having a special counsel is if somehow he's compromised. Now here's another question to that. Sessions recused himself months ago because of the fact that there were some surrounding things whenever this Mueller thing come out about the investigation between Trump and Russia collusion. He recused himself, but now the question is did he recuse himself from specific things like this? He recused himself in a certain aspect, but he didn't recuse himself in another. And so there's a lot of debate on as to where that line is drawn, right? So don't get misled by this video. There's a
It
lot.
almost seems like they're inner fighting.
No, well, there's some frustration on the GOP
get
side.
done. Yeah.
They've been pushing for this. There's here. I mean, imagine this. Once again, I've been tooting this horn for weeks. There is absolute truth and evidence of collusion between the Democratic Party, the Clintons, and a Russian-tied firm to dig up fake and false manufactured information on our current president, of which, and truth and time will tell this, of which that information in the form of a dossier was the center and was the investigation that is ongoing to this day, that is the existence of Bob Mueller, was predicated on. So if you can appoint a special counsel to a bunch of fake manufactured news, then you should be able to appoint a special counsel to absolute fact and truth. And that's what they're pushing. That's what our side is pushing. That's what the conservatives are pushing. You got all this glaring information. $145 million flowed on Uranium One to the Clinton Foundation.
Yeah.
A dirty dossier, fiction on top of fiction was used to then, it was sold like a commodity to the highest bidder or whoever would basically take it and run with it, and the FBI, in whole or in part, used that dossier to set forth an investigation against Trump, and it is ongoing to this day. So if they're going to do that, they owe it to the American people to take factual-based stuff
Right.
and also prosecute and look into that.
Well, I guess that's my question: is that why does it take so long for, based on the evidence that we have, for things like the Clinton scandals, Uranium One, Fusion GPS, to do these investigations and to have these special counsels, but I don't know, for the Democratic side, just to be able to pull these things
Out
almost
of thin
seemingly
air.
out of thin air. Yeah,
And it gets traction.
yeah,
And it gets relevance.
yeah. Is
Right.
that just because the pushing of the media?
Well, you got- yeah.
or what is it that
Right.
for some reason they're able to fast track these things? One of the things that we're going to talk about here in a little bit, the fast tracking of this supposed things to impeach President Trump, since he's been not things that they say, not things that he's done previous, but things that he has done since being president.
Right.
And those things are just, I don't know, I call them fluff.
Yeah.
But when we have these other facts, we'll get to.
Yeah,
I
there's
don't
two
understand
standards in this country, and there's two
That's what it
separate
seems
sides
like.
of the
That's
law,
what it
and they
seems
only
like.
apply to the politically connect, and the others that fall outside of that, you're in a bind. I just lost audio on my right ear, Dave. There
Yep,
it is.
there you go.
And let's tie into, you got a picture up for Glenn Simpson?
Fusion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's tie this into that real fast. The gentleman you see on your screen is a co-founder of Fusion GPS. He had a closed session, 7-hour session with, I'm not exactly know how to say this, members of Congress, a certain committee, related to Fusion GPS, which is the firm that had all to do with this.
Okay.
Now, Fusion GPS is fighting tooth and nail to prevent current bank records from a certain bank being revealed. And the reason they're fighting that is because that knowledge to be known would basically disclose who paid them,
Oh yeah.
and to where maybe they've funneled money from then on. So it's going to show money incoming and money outgoing, of which this fake dossier was also put in. So let's also touch base on there's still this other information, this undercover FBI informant that goes all the way back to when all this Uranium One situation was going on. He has been cleared to testify. His attorney even states that when this information comes out, that this informant is going to give to a select committee, that his attorney states that at the time, director of the FBI, which was Mueller was the director of FBI back in the Obama administration, and President Obama was aware of the very things, the kickbacks, the bribery, all of these pay-to-play situations with Uranium One. They were aware of all of this, and even allowed this CFIUS court, the CFIUS panel, to which Holder and Hillary Clinton were a part of. They were 2 of 9 on the panel that actually signed off on Uranium One being sold. So as it sits today, because of all those things, Russians own 20% of our uranium.
Yeah. Yeah. Which
It just goes on and on and on,
weakens.
guys. It just goes
Yeah.
on and on. I mean, it's crazy.
We will talk about the impeachment, and one of the things they say about that is because he has weakened our national security. But there have been other people who have, without a doubt, with this evidence of Uranium One Fusion GPS, have weakened the security of our national security, and still, we're placating around and not touching on things very well.
Tim Skills got one good here. Yeah.
Yeah. Rhinos, he says the Rhinos and the Republican
Republican.
Party. See how much I keep up on this stuff.
Hold on, pause this. What does Rhinos stand for?
You asking me?
I knew I'd catch you on this one.
I
Republicans.
handle the Bible side.
Oh, come on!
all
You
right?
can't use that against me.
That's my forte.
Republican
Politics
in name
or
only.
not.
Republican in name only is what Rhino stands for. In other words, they're fake. They're not truly conservatives. They're fake
okay.
Republicans that are trying to do maybe liberals bidding underneath the Republican banner.
They're wearing that mask as Republicans, but not holding to the values.
You are correct, sir.
Huh. That sounds oddly familiar, like Christians who wear that mask as Christians,
Yes,
but
yes.
are wolves in sheep's clothing,
Right.
who are Satan's workers. Anyhow, I'm sorry. TM, you see what I do. All right. TM Skills says that those Republicans
In name only.
for the Republican Party have worked with the Democrats to destroy political careers and lives on true conservatives and people trying to expose them. And he says, oh, yes, McCain, McConnell,
Yep.
both of them.
Very evil. Yeah, and you're right there, because there is also a part of this, Dave. I was going to jump in here with TM Skills. There is also rumor, I don't know if it's been confirmed, that there's some chain of command here that happened between the fake dossier getting traction, and there's word that possibly even McCain had something to do with either partially funding that or even at least connecting the dots and getting it to James Comey, or he leaked it. So, I mean, Comey basically comes out. Comey obtains this dossier, takes it and briefs the president on it, and then leaks it. And once it's leaked, that's when the special counsel was now. Okay, so hold on. Comey briefs the president about the dossier. The president fires Comey, and then he leaks it. And then President fires Comey because Comey's Comey, and he deserved to be fired for a lot of reasons. And because he was fired and then that information on the dossier was leaked, there was enough traction, organic traction, on something that was fake to predicate an investigation in a special counsel, and in comes Robert Mueller. And the rest is history. The rest of this is all smoke and mirrors, and it's all fake. And they're wasting money looking for a Russian-Trump collusion, because there is none. The real collusion is between the DNC, the Hillary campaign, and a bunch of Russian factions that have provably done some colluding and some probably some very, very bad crimes here.
Mm-hmm. And, as you say there, TM Skills, what McConnell's doing to Judge Moore in Alabama, all of a sudden, it just seems that timing is everything. Why all of a sudden now are all these things coming out? And we see this time and time and time again. And I just wonder, in my mind, how many times do we allow these things to happen and still, that's definitely got to be truth. When why now? Why not years ago?
Are we talking about where are you going with that? Are you talking about the allegations?
Yeah.
Okay, the sexual allegations against Judge Moore, like TM Skills brought. Okay.
Well, and as he mentioned, the same thing that happened with Herman Cain.
Oh,
when he was running for the GOP, and we see it just constantly. These things that will come up, and then all of a sudden, once their reputation has been destroyed,
court of public opinion,
it goes away.
Yeah.
Where, and I know that we've had some of these things, like in Hollywood, where there's been sexual allegations, sexual assault.
Weinstein.
And it's
Anthony
been
Weiner.
pushed down for a while.
Yeah.
But then it's, okay, now we finally have been coming out about it. We don't want this to continue going on. And finally brave enough to come out about the truth. But then it's also pushed. And there's no... all of a sudden, Weinstein wasn't all of a sudden, running for office. Oh, well, now we got to get out there.
It's off the butt. Yeah.
And
Well,
but it's just odd.
Exactly. I agree with you on that. And let's jump into that. Like on the Roy Moore thing, we didn't even have that in the lineup. Let's talk about it. I've kind of familiarized myself with that in recent days. And there's a number of women that have come out and have projected allegations against him. I'm of two schools of thought on this. The timing is everything. I mean, I find it hard to believe, and I think they've even researched a few of the ladies that have actually brought allegations against Judge Moore. That there's a significant portion of them, and this isn't to say that their stories aren't legit and that that what they're alleging didn't happen. So I'm going to say that for the record. But there is a number of these ladies that are Democrat supporters that have. Why is there this snowball of 4, 5, 6 different women, and none of these allegations are inside of 30 years? They're like 30, 40 years ago. Okay, and then there's this deal where this latest allegation, this lady has a yearbook from 1977, and supposedly Judge Moore wrote in her yearbook some kind of nefarious things, supposedly. Well, guess what Judge Moore's done? And I give him kudos for this. He says, we want that yearbook submitted for evidence. We want it turned over so that we can get an official, like FBI or an official handwriting analysis to see if it's even confirmed that it's Judge Roy Moore's handwriting. Okay? You know, I'm sorry. To me, if a guy's willing to do that, he must believe 100% that he didn't do it. Or he wouldn't be willing to subject some handwriting that could confirm without any shadow of a doubt that he did do it. Right? So why would he go that far? Why would he go down a limb if he didn't do it? So I don't know. I mean, I'm not here to say he did it. I'm not here to say he didn't. All I'm saying is that it's very weird that days out of an election, that all of these women snowball out with all these same allegations, and none of them are inside of the last number of years. Statute of limitations. I mean, what are they?
Yeah.
It's all, you know, but they don't have to convict him, though, and you said it a while ago, Dave.
Oh, no.
Public opinion
Yep.
convicted him, and
Yeah.
his name is forever soiled, even if it's 100% proven he didn't do it.
Right.
It's wrong.
And,
It's
and
wrong.
That is wrong. You know, where is the process of law?
Yeah.
You know, innocent until proven guilty, and these things come out. But you don't need that anymore.
Right.
You know, with what things we have of media, social media, you know, you defame somebody's name, and it's forever stained.
Forever,
even
regardless
if
of
it is.
innocence.
Right.
Well, and you're right on this too. And let's look at this. I mean, if there was a way to be a fly on the wall in these instances, like Tim Seals brings up Herman Cain, and they rolled out a bunch of women and accusations on him. They're rolling this out on Roy Moore. And I'm not going to say whether or not these are true or false. Let's don't litigate that right now. But let's state this: I guarantee you, somebody's getting paid. Somebody's getting paid. You don't go out and risk all of this heartache and turmoil.
Yeah.
In both the Herman Cain situation and in the fact of Roy Moore. I guarantee you somebody is getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to know who's paying them. And I guarantee you 2 + 2 is 4.
Who's that
Anybody on the
feller
Democratic side?
who funds everything?
Oh, that's that's
all
George
these
Soros.
Riots and everything.
Yep, Soros could be. You never know.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yep.
That man's got it out for the nation.
What next?
Well, I think we need to get into. We've got about 15 minutes left. Yeah, is to get to this
GQ.
idea about. Oh yeah. Well, I guess just
Let's keep it on here and do the impeachment thing because it really ties into it, doesn't it?
okay.
We have a short video here, guys, where the Dems have basically fallen off the rocker. And once again, let me say this before we push play.
Yeah.
Amazing coincidence of timing here that less than a day after Sessions testifies before the House Judiciary Committee, leaves open the door for a special counsel into the Clinton scandals.
Mm-hmm.
And here comes 6 Democrats with articles of impeachment in hand, all predicated on what they call so-called obstruction of justice. And we already touched base on this in the first 2 minutes. How can you obstruct something that was predicated on something that was fake and manufactured? Okay, so whatever. And here it is.
Yeah. All right.
And a couple other people who are on the resolution will not be here today. But I am proud to stand here with my friend, Congressman Gutierrez, with other Congress people who will be here in announcing that we are introducing articles of impeachment to remove President Trump from office. There will be, I believe, 6 signatories on the resolution. We have taken this action because of great concern for our country and our Constitution, our national security, and our democracy. We believe that President Trump has violated the Constitution, and we've introduced 5 articles of impeachment. The first is obstruction of justice, which deals with Mr. Comey's firing. The second is a violation of the Constitution's Foreign Emolument Clause, which deals with monies he's taken from foreign powers without the consent of Congress. The third is a violation of the Domestic Emoluments Clause, which deals with monies he's made from the United States and his personal businesses beyond that of his salary, which is also forbidden by our Constitution. The fourth is undermining our federal judiciary, and the fifth is undermining freedom of the press. These are progressive actions he's taken over a period of time against the press and against the judiciary, with positive actions to cap off a pattern of behavior, belittling and questioning these institutions that are so important for our democracy. The judiciary obviously is in the Constitution and the equal branch of government. The press is not in the Constitution, but freedom of press is. And he's threatened licenses of broadcast stations, so-called fake news and other actions that hurt our democracy. They definitely hurt our democracy. They're fundamental parts of it. So we're calling upon the House to begin impeachment hearings immediately. It's not a call for a vote, it's a call for hearings. I don't expect the House Judiciary Committee, which is operated like a branch of the administration, to take up hearings. It's their responsibility, in my opinion, and I believe Congressman Gutierrez's and our other colleagues, to have hearings. But of the four committees that have jurisdiction, House and Senate Intelligence and House and Senate Judiciary, the House Judiciary, which is the particular committee which would have responsibility for bringing impeachment charges in through the Constitution. Al, come join us, please. Has that responsibility, and of which I sit as the ranking member on the Constitution Subcommittee, has not taken any action whatsoever or had any hearings whatsoever. And because of that, it's even more important that Congressman Gutierrez, who's a member of this committee, and myself bring this impeachment article for failure of our chairman to even have hearings. If we don't have hearings, which we don't expect, we will be holding briefings and participating in briefings on these particular charges to let people know what's going on as we experience them, that the Constitution is being violated, that our democracy is being threatened, and to bring these charges to light in the form of briefings with experts who will help us explain it to the American people. Some people may say, why in light of the investigation of Bob Mueller? We support Bob Mueller's investigation, but he's looking at criminal charges. And that can or may not be an impeachable offense. More likely than not, it will be. We think he's going to come up with things, but that's for him, and it's going to take some time. There's no reason why we don't start now with definite violations of our Constitution and threats to our democracy. Gutierrez, with great appreciation. He'll recognize Representative Green. He'll represent the next person in Congress.
Well, Congressman Cohen, thank you. I have to say I enjoy working with you on the Judiciary Committee, and it gives me great honor to co-sponsor these articles of impeachment. Let me put this in context. There are many reasons why I think the president is an awful president, an awful person. But not all of those reasons rise to the level of impeaching a sitting president. We are not seeking his impeachment because of what he did before he was president. For example, he proudly bragged about sexually assaulting women. And he has been linked to such a long list of sexually inappropriate conduct that I think it is fair to conclude that he is hostile to women in general. We are not seeking to impeach him because of the growing racial and ethnic tension in this country that, in my opinion, this president knowingly and willingly activates by playing up racial hatred and bias, and he thrives on it. He didn't denounce Nazi marches and racism because he knows he benefits from them. I'm not joining this effort because of his sustained anti-Latino bias. He started his campaign by calling Mexican immigrants murderers and rapists. He doesn't think that an American-born judge in Indiana with a Spanish-sounding last name is legitimate, just as he does not believe that Latinos voting is legitimate. And I think he is taking the country in exactly the wrong direction on immigration by taking documented immigrants, those legally in this country, and making them undocumented so that he can deport them.
Back on?
Yep, you're good.
All right, guys. So really just cringe at listening to these handful of Democrats speak the garbage they just had to say about the president, in my opinion. Just cringe. I looked over at Dave a few times. I was just like, what? You know, and it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Crazy. Listen to the insanity.
We're not going to impeach him for these things, but we're definitely going to take up, your viewers, 30 minutes and
speak garbage.
To talk about it, to slander him. Yeah. But and the things that they are trying to impeach for, I really think are just kind of empty-handed.
Yeah. Well, they stack the list there. It's simple. right? You go with what you think you have a really good shot at on any kind of conviction or any kind of allegation or charge, and it's okay. So obstructing, okay. So what do they mean by that? Their ace in the hole is the fact that he fired Comey. He had every right to fire Comey. It fell within his constitutional right as a president of the United States. He didn't compromise anything. Comey compromised himself through countless situations that we've documented on the show in the past. So, and a lot of the Democrats were grateful that Comey was taken out. So, obstruction of justice. What? And once again, I'll say this until I'm blue in the face. You can't obstruct something that was predicated. So this whole investigation is false and fake and is not warranted or justified because it was predicated on a fake dossier with fake information that wasn't vetted, and the standard wasn't met in the committees and in the specific security administration chains of command. There wasn't the threshold was not met. They knew what they were doing was false and fake. The FBI is in on that. They paid Christopher Steele to help get this dossier, conform all of this. This stinks to high heaven, and you can't impeach a president based on obstruction of justice when he didn't obstruct anything that was official to begin with.
Yeah. It's another one of those, in my opinion, and that's what it is. Another one of those ways to distract the American people from other things that are going on. If we can, get all the Trump people riled up about this, and then maybe it's going to take some of the pressure off of, all these other things that we've been talking about with the dossier with Fusion GPS, Uranium One, with the Clinton scandals.
Right.
And, it's just bait and switch.
Yeah.
And we see it time and time again. And the reality is just quit the lying, quit the backhanded dealing, quit the whole dark side, if you will, of politics, and
tell the truth.
Work for the American people to change America into a country of back to a country, if you will, of morality, back to God, back to the Bible, and I guarantee you that if we do that, things will improve. We can get along. There's not racial tension. When we look at God's word, that there is no male nor female, no slave nor free, no Greek or Scythian, all one in Christ Jesus, and that's what we are as Americans too.
We would have to give up, Dave. Great points, but we're living in a fantasy world if we think any of that's going to happen, and for one reason, because on both sides of the aisle, and it is the swamp, the very swamp that Trump, declares he wants to drain, and amen for that, because there's a lot of corruption on both sides. But we on both sides of the aisle, we the people, the establishment Republicans and establishment Democrats, would have to give up enormous amounts of control to basically go back and turn over and submit back to the will of God, and they would absolutely refuse to do that. And Tim Seals, three messages back or so, great point. I mean, there's an establishment side on the Republican, the GOP, that absolutely despises what Trump stands for, because even though they believe it's conservative values that he's fighting for, to fight for the sheer change, the amount of change that Trump wants to do, it's inevitable that a lot of their power and control and money will dry up and disappear, and they don't have nothing to do with that.
Yeah, and when we see that, the Pharisees, did that. They didn't want to give up that power and control. Back then,
hypocrites.
The reason why you crucify the Messiah, and that's not the real Son of God. Because we don't want to give that up, and this plays out again. Time and time again throughout history, where we don't want to give up our power, no matter how much this is going to benefit millions of people. But we don't want to lose what we have. We don't want to lose our standard of living. It's
horrible. And I'm going to say one thing. We've only got a few minutes, guys, but I was going to say something. And I've always had this thought and this saying. We live in the greatest country on earth, even to this day. It's under strain and it's under weight because of the things that we've talked about in these sessions. But the founding documents of this great country and the Constitution of the United States of America is only as good, even as inspired as it was, by good, moral, and ethical and principled individuals, with that thread of God and Christ through it, and morals and ethics. It's only as good as the people under which it covers. And it's inevitable and it's obvious that as generations have went from the time that it was founded to present day, we have lost a good bit of that morality, virtue, and principle. And so therefore, so goes the electorate underneath the Constitution, so goes the Constitution itself. And if we don't stand up and fight this moral and principled battle, we will lose what God has given us.
Yeah. And, that's what the Scripture reminds us of. It's, it's not a battle against principalities and powers, but it's a spiritual battle that each of us are in. And it goes back to morality. It goes back to those Christian principles of life and honesty and morality and
truth.
We need to work on ourselves individually. We need to work on our family, and then from there reach out and continue to grow that standard, and things can improve.
I think it's funny though. It's not funny. I just think it's so obvious as I sit here today, and me and you have no connection 200 plus years ago, but we could sit back and see just how when we have it backwards as a society. We want change. We want to have positive things happen as it relates to our morals and ethics and principles and faith, but what's not popular is the solution, and the solution is exactly what you said. The only solution is from within the individual and within the family unit. So goes the family unit, so goes the country. Rome fell from within. Rome fell from the family unit out, and the cancer spread, and Rome dissolved. It was no more. Will that happen to us? Will this great country follow suit? Time will tell.
Yeah.
So, plug us, Dave. Plug us.
All right. Here in just a little bit. Right now it is about 11:57, and about 1:30 today we will get into Bible study in Genesis chapter 7, and also we'll conclude talking about Moses. And that is over on twitch.tv/Fuzzy Spartan.
Great show, guys. I'll dive in there and back that. I've been on there a few times, and Lucas is a great guy. Fuzzy, he is very knowledgeable, and between him and Dave, they put on a great Bible study, so I encourage that. It's
a good Bible study, so if you can join us at that. Twitch is sort of like a YouTube thing. It's absolutely free. You just got to go to twitch.tv/Fuzzy Spartan, and I'll have the link here in the chat as well. And it's just an interactive Bible study. Join us on that. Join us here every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We didn't get to some of the things today that we had planned to, but that's the way live streaming and timing goes.
I'd rather have too much than not enough.
There we go. And but again, if you have any questions, truthhourradio@gmail.com. You can live chat here. It'll be up for the next few more minutes. And also, you can chat on the discussion on the video after it loads.
Thank you, sir. And guys, TM Skills, Aaron, my daughter Cheyenne, Lauren, and those that are on that we haven't seen you on chat, of whom we haven't been able to mention, we do appreciate each and every one of you. We appreciate your input, your feedback. We appreciate you as an audience, and we look forward to bringing you another week, next week, more political insight, conservative values, and Christian faith as it relates to our walk. And we're grateful to be here, and thank you so much, and we wish you nothing but the best this upcoming week, and hope you have a blessed day.
All right, God bless you guys.
Right, see you guys.
Take care.
Something really wrong is going on.